You're listening to Brave Girls with Tracy Imm, where we choose to empower you to be a better leader, mentor, and coach in the world. We'll share stories of people who have achieved great heights by overcoming adversity and rising to the challenge, all while pursuing their passions. These courageous people will inspire you to have faith in yourself and take bold action. Right here with the host of Brave Girls, Tracy Imm.
Episode 18, Stay in Your Wheelhouse with Jeannie Spiro. On this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy Imm, I chat with accidental entrepreneur Jeannie Spiro, who's shaking things up, teaching other women how to monetize their business through speaking from the stage. She shares her story of how she's grown her side hustle over time through live events, one-on-one clients, webinars, group programs, courses, and speaking as a way to attract new clients. We talk about the different stages of business and how Jeannie has structured her business offerings to her ideal client avatar. We also talk about the ripple effect she is having on the clients of her clients. Jeannie uses the skills she honed as a tour guide at the Breakers in Newport, Rhode Island when she was a college student to run her business today. We talk about how people want to have experiences and how she was able to do 7 tours a day that led tourists into the gift shop where they bought a piece of the Vanderbilt's history. Jeannie also talks about the investment she's made with her education and training while she was in corporate and how it was a smart decision before she made the leap to full-time entrepreneur. She talks about the la-la land she lived in when she first started and how once she stayed in her wheelhouse and focused, she turned a corner with her business. If you're thinking about launching a side hustle or taking the leap into full-time entrepreneurship, you'll want to listen to what Jeannie has to say on this episode about her journey as a brave girl. So welcome to Brave Girls with Tracy Imm. Tonight, I'm really excited because we have Jeannie Spiro with us, and she's from outside Newport, Rhode Island, and I just want to say welcome to the show, Jeannie.
Tracy, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, for those listeners who aren't familiar with Jeannie, she is what I call an accidental entrepreneur. She has spent decades in corporate, in the sales arena, working for different healthcare providers and insurance brokers, and she had a side hustle for quite some time before she made the big leap and jumped out of corporate into full-time into being an entrepreneur. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, Jeannie, and how you are doing what you're doing today based on where you were just not too long ago.
It's only been about 5 years really since I've left corporate. And it was an accident. And it was actually more from, it came from a point of me feeling unsettled and unhappy in my life and not knowing exactly what I wanted for my future. In my career at that point. So I had been working and basically been doing the same kind of job in the same industry for many years, and my kids were young. And I had a wake-up call in the form of my boss who had a massive heart attack at work one day, and he passed away. And we were all there. There were 10 of us in the office, and I was assigned to most of his cases. I worked with him very, very closely, and I was working parallel to him the whole time. And I had, for months, actually even years, I was working around the clock. I was emaciated. I barely slept. I hardly saw my kids. I worked until 1 a.m. I traveled around the country. I had a long commute, and I was young. I mean, it was really like, why am I doing this and pushing myself to this degree? And so my wake-up call came when he passed away, and his kids, he had 4 children, and 2 of them were my kids' age. And I thought, I can't keep doing this. So I began at that moment to start thinking that something needed to shift. But several things happened after that. A few kind of difficult things happened within my career at that moment. I thought, I can't make this leap yet. I'm too scared. So I'm going to dive in just a little bit by exploring some interests. So it started with health coaching school, just because I'd been in the health insurance industry. And I was like, I like this. I think I could do this. And then I realized I didn't know enough, which is one of the things that I see a lot of entrepreneurs do, or beginning entrepreneurs do, is they think they don't know enough, so they keep going through this educational pathway of looking for more education and certification. And so I kept going and getting more certification, and I started my business, and it was a health coaching business. But ultimately, what I realized a couple months into it was I was getting clients faster than a lot of my colleagues, even though I was doing it on the side. And it wasn't because I was a phenomenal health coach. It was because I was really good at sales because I had been doing that in corporate for years. So the big thing that I learned for myself was I wasn't really supposed to be a health coach or a life coach. I was supposed to take what I already knew and was good at and be able to develop that into something more, which I was already passionate about anyway. I just wanted to do it for myself. So that's kind of the long and short of it.
Right,
I
right.
had
And I,
my wake-up call and couldn't wait to start doing something.
yeah, well, and sometimes, it takes a wake up call and it takes seeing something tragic happen to somebody very close to us to say, wait a second, this person's burning out, working a million hours just like I am, has children my age. I don't want that to happen to me. Like, you don't want to die at your desk, right? And so I know, kind of fast forward, I think when I met you in 2013, 2014, you were just really making that pivot to teaching people how to sell and trying to monetize your business. So talk a little bit about that and how you found that speaking from the stage was really something that you could develop into a product or service that you could then teach and train to get clients to come to you. So talk about
Right.
that.
So what you don't know about the story was prior to meeting you was I had quit my job and said, I'm ready to go. I know that I want to have a business coaching business. I've been doing it on the side hustling for a while. And so I ripped the Band-Aid off. Actually, it was ripped off for me. My boss, who was super supportive of me having a business on the side, said, I'm going to transition you to another organization. We're partners and we work together here, but I'm going to transition you so you can work less. Well, that wasn't actually what I needed to do. What I really needed to do when he ripped that Band-Aid off was I needed to take the leap, and I didn't. So it took me a couple of months to realize I needed to go out on my own, but I hadn't really prepared myself as well as I should have, which is kind of funny because I had worked within financial positions in wealth management companies, and I had learned a lot, but I hadn't put all the pieces together for myself. So 6 months after I had left that job, I was struggling. I was trying to make a lot of money off of a $97 product, which I was sharing with someone else. We had a podcast that basically we didn't know what to do with. And we were just spinning around in circles. And it came down to, are you going to go back and get another job? Or are you going to make this work? And so I thought, what am I really good at? I know how to sell. I know how to speak. And I've learned enough about putting together a really good package and program for working with clients one-on-one. So I did. And I started offering webinars in the beginning and working with people one-on-one, teaching them exactly how to attract clients through speaking, which is what I ended up doing both live and online. And that's how my business started to accelerate and really take off.
Yeah, and like where you are today, you have live events, you have webinars, you have private clients, you have masterminds, you have, evolved your revenue model to include different ways, but still always coming back to that thing that you were good at.
Yeah, and I learned a couple keys here. One was, yes, definitely stay rooted in what you're good at. Two, you have to really be clear about your marketing and don't take on more marketing than is necessary. The other thing is there's stages of business. And I jumped into, I think, maybe a further stage than what I really needed in the beginning, which I believe is stage one, especially in a coaching business and a service-based business. In stage one, You need to really simplify your marketing, and you need to look for clients. Like, that is your full-time job. And what I did, the mistake I made, was I added multiple income streams on. At the same time, I added multiple marketing streams and strategies on. So of course I was confused. Of course I wasn't getting anywhere. So as soon as I stripped it down and I primarily focused on speaking as a way to attract clients, in stage one, I moved out of that stage of I don't have enough clients into I now need to leverage and monetize this. So then I moved into that next level within only a couple of months, hosting events, creating a course, creating a group program. And by the end of that first year, I'd made into multiple six figures because I figured out a system to get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then do you teach your clients as part of your training of speaking, sort of the tips and tricks of how to plant different things within your speech that will then make them want to work with you, so that when you do make the offer, they've kind of been primed? Is that part of your approach?
It's a part of it, but
Yeah.
the way I teach it is really more. So the way I really talk about speaking is you're really supposed to be attracting specific people who are attracted to you because of certain things that you're doing and saying in your presentation. And it's not, to me, I believe it's like putting together this calculated, manipulative, not able to say that right,
Right.
process. It's more, when you tell your story and when you talk about how you can get results, and when you share your credibility and show a pathway for someone, when you're talking about, what it is that you do, people are automatically excited about being able to go further with what it is that you might be offering, as opposed to buy this because I'm
Right.
telling you it works. No, you've got to show them it works. And so you do that through storytelling, you do that through examples, through testimonials, you do that through showing them a process that you might have or that works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And does some of that go back to some of the training and techniques that you got when you were in corporate doing sales?
Part of it does.
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I actually learned how to speak in very, very beginning of my, well, this was actually a really long time ago. I worked as a tour guide at the Breakers and Marble House here in Newport. And part of what we had to do was we would walk people. I did 7 tours a day, 50 people at a time, 50 minutes a tour. And at the end of the tour, my job was to make sure that I got everybody to go into the gift shop to buy. So of course I had to do an amazing job of entertaining them, educating, and then I had to transition them into the sale at the end. It's no different than what I do now. So I had to be dynamic and interesting and provide this entertainment the entire time. So if you think about it, it's no different than putting together a speech or presentation, to ultimately sell your services.
That's interesting too, because it's like you were doing that all the way back in the day.
In college.
And in college, and like 7 times a day, that's a lot with 50 people, and being confident even at a young age to, take them through the whole experience, because that's what you were giving them, like the whole experience, right? That they've paid money to come, and like you're giving them the history and you're giving them the story, and, like you say, entertaining them, educating them, and then leading them right into buying something as a memory.
Yes, exactly. Everybody loved their experience. Everybody wanted a little piece of the Vanderbilts. So by the time they walked out of the kitchen of the Breakers and they walked right into the gift shop, they were like, I want a piece of this. I want to remember this. I want more. So it's the same exact concept in
Right.
a presentation when you're selling your own services.
Right. So now fast forward to where you are today, and you have a full practice of clients and speaking engagements. What's like your favorite thing as part of your business now? Is it the transformation that you see your clients go through from start to finish, or what is it?
So there's a couple of things that I really love. I love watching people evolve into them, like become an entrepreneur. And it I see it happening before my eyes. And so I have a 1 year program. So my mastermind program is 1 year. So I love when I watch my clients come to me saying, I need to attract more clients. I need to start getting more sales conversations. And then I see them, once they've done that, they start monetizing. And then they go into the next level and the next level. And eventually they're starting to have their own live events. And I get to watch them evolve and become confident. When they start with me, they're not sure. They're not sure if it's going to work or if this is going to make money. And within a short period of time, they're confident and feeling like, oh, I want more of this and I want to be able to reach more people. But there's a side benefit to this, and this is a piece that I've really appreciated, is I feel like I'm creating a ripple effect, because what I'm doing is I've actually got a lot of healers and transformational coaches that are working with me that are doing very passion and purpose-driven work. Some of them are very, they're really doing some healing work in our world today. And so I get to be a part of that, even though I can't directly work with all of the people that they work with. So I get to be part of the transformation and the ripple. And that, to me, in the end, is very satisfying.
Yeah, that's got to be amazing to see you're coaching them, helping them, and then they're going out into the world doing their healing work, but in a much stronger way because they've worked with you. And so
Yes.
you're impacting not just them, but their clients. So yeah, I could see where that would be just kind of inspiring and motivating and like uplifting.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I could
Yeah,
see
it
that.
is. I have a client she works with clients who are dealing with being affected by wounds of religion. And so I've been helping her create her own events and her own programs, and her be able to go out there and speak. And she's speaking on bigger platforms and stages all the time. And the healing that she gets to do as a result of people who have had some kind of issue. She's a psychologist and she's a pastor. She calls herself a pastologist. So she gets to be out there doing this work, and I'm teaching her how to go out there and do it in a different way. So
That's great. So let me ask you a question. I'm always curious if it's best to start with one signature talk and really target um, a specific kind of client avatar that you're speaking to, and then find those opportunities where those people are going to be in the audience. Or should you create multiple ones? Or is it one of those things like go all in and focus on the first thing before you start having bright, shiny object syndrome and creating a bunch of different talks? So what's your advice on that?
And so this goes back to what I believe in the stages of business. So it depends on your stage of business and where you are. So I I have right now, I have multiple programs that I'm selling. But basically, and you can kind of see how this will evolve, I have one course right now that it's all about how to use speaking as a way to attract clients. So I have my signature talk that points to that,
Mm,
right? And then I have a live event, but the live event talk, the one that I use, is very much the same because the content is very similar to what I'm teaching in the course. So I don't need to have too many talks.
hmm
I do have a separate talk, which I use for people who are at the point of needing to scale their business. And so when I'm speaking to a different audience who's no longer so worried about attracting clients and getting sales conversations and monetizing their business, they're at the next level of how do I scale my business and add more streams of income, then I have a different talk, right? So if I'm speaking to a different audience, technically I have the same person that I work with. It's a passion-driven, conscious entrepreneur, transformational healer of some kind, or coach, they are just at different stages of their business. So whenever I'm talking to that person at that stage, in the beginning stage, it's that signature talk on how to attract more clients. Further along, it's a different one.
Right, right. Yeah, and similar to me, I also have a communications degree, like as a bachelor's. And so, do you go back to some of the classes and the coursework that you did back then? I mean, it's kind of different now, at least for me, it is.
Yeah.
But I took several speech communications classes, and so
Yeah.
leverage some of that. I mean, at its core, having like a really good opening, having some key points, having a good close. Like, is it still kind of the flow? Still.
Absolutely. Yes. And you're so right. So you do have to have like the structure of a signature talk. You really do want to be able to have a formula so that you can ultimately be able to do it from memory. And that's really one of the best things, if you can have your slides be used as prompts, not necessarily have the content, and then not have to use notes. It's really tremendous, and it makes it easier. So yeah, there is a structure to it. Of course, it's going to include an opening and a way to gather, that, or grab the attention initially of your audience, because they don't know you. They don't know you from a hole in the wall if they're new to you. So you really need to make sure that they're connecting with you right from the start. And of course, so the opening has multiple components to it. You're really ultimately with this is you're trying to make sure that people relate to you right from the start and connect with you. So you have to tell them who you are right off the bat and why they should listen to you, which one of the things that I say in my talk is, this is kind of my statement of authority. I'll say, I'm Jeannie Spiro. I took my failing business to 6 figures in 12 months. And immediately that gets people to say, oh, we need to pay attention to her because she wasn't doing so well. She was failing in her business, and look what she did.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that needs to be done almost from the beginning of a talk. And then there's the message. The core message of your talk is so necessary. And why are you talking? Why is it so important? So you've got to make sure the message is there. And then the content, the educational components of what you're talking about that you might have or know about that is ultimately going to lead to further education on your topic. And then there's what I call the illumination period. So it's we're really shining the light on, you can't do this on your own. You might need some help. So then after that, there's an offer, and that's the close. And that would be, I've shown you a pathway, I've given you information, now you're connected to me. You probably realize that you want this, but you can't do it yourself. So here's an invitation for us to keep going further. So that's a general overview of it, but those are the things that are important.
Yeah, and I think I like the word invitation because I feel like that's more warm and welcoming than sleazy salesy, right?
Yeah.
You're making an invitation if you so choose, I'm here, I'm here now, I'll be here in the future, and I've had that when I've given talks. The person may not immediately take what my offer is, but they stay connected with me through email. And then when they are ready and they get something from me that says, oh, I'm going to be offering X, Y, and Z, the timing might be right. They might have the funds to then pay for it. And so it's that invitation, always being extending the invitation, right? And I think that's a good sales technique is the invitation, even the word invitation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's much more of a soft sell. And I think as women, sometimes we want people to know, like, and trust us, but we don't know how to maybe do that without feeling, we want to feel authentic and genuine and sincere. And so we struggle, I think, with what are the right words so that we do feel genuine, authentic, and sincere, and not sleazy and salesy.
Yes, absolutely. I have seen a lot of women struggle with this, and they have had a lot of experience in speaking, but then they get to that point of the presentation where they have a hard time making the invitation because it suddenly goes from oh, I'm asking for something, or I don't feel like I'm entitled to ask for that. Or what if they say no? And the way I always look at this, and I have to reframe this for my clients all the time, even when you're having a sales conversation or a clarity call or discovery call with someone, if you have an opportunity to support and serve someone and you don't give them that opportunity for them to know about it, then aren't you sort of being selfish, right? So that's how I look at it. That, for example, for me, I know how to create a six-figure business. I know how to create a live event that isn't going to break the bank. I know how to attract clients easily. And if I don't teach these things or say, listen, if you're looking for that solution, I can show you how to do it. There's a process to it. You can follow it the way that I've done it and save a lot of time. I feel like I'm doing something that's in their best interest.
Yeah, you are being of service. So you're not being of service. I think also people may, until you get the confidence up, they may feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, and you are going to get a lot of no's, but when you get that yes and it's the right yes, it's so gratifying to then work with that person and see their transformation and know that you are of service to them. And that, I also talk a lot to my folks about it's an investment in yourself. And like you said, you're definitely shortening the cycle when you do work with somebody who has been there, done that. Like you said, you went from, a failing business to a six-figure business, and now you have this full client roster. You're doing live events that are making five figures, like on and on and on. And so why wouldn't you want to make that investment? And a lot of times when you make those investments, you'll more than make the investment back and then some once you implement what the person's taught you.
That's right.
And a lot of times when I sign up for things, I have no idea where the money's coming from. But I know if I invest three, four, $5,000 to do a program with the right person, I'm going to get more than that in client revenue.
And Tracy, I want to say this. One of the reasons why I took a little while to leave my job, and so if you have any listeners that are in this position, is I invested in my education, my entrepreneurial education, before I had to do it entirely, before I had to do it when I was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur and I don't have much money coming in. So I added some funds for several years to my education as an entrepreneur. And that sped up the process. Even though I couldn't leave as fast as I wanted to, it was one of the best things that I did for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the path that I've been down as a side hustler is when I know that it's going to be a good investment to either work with like I work with a financial person who is helping me figure out, okay, when you leap, what's the cushion? How are you going to survive until you do get that first client and the second client and the third client? So, and you had said something earlier in the interview that you hadn't really, even though you had been in the wealth management business, you hadn't really buttoned that up. So is that like sort of a lesson learned for people that are kind of side hustling, looking to be the accidental entrepreneur, spend the time on something like that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I didn't do that because I just, I think part of it was I was really buying into, oh, you're going to be able to make it really quickly. And, you can put together a course and a group program and you can do it all and it's all going to come to you so easily and the money will be there. And I was living in this almost la la land for a period of time. And then when I jumped and I realized, oh, wait a minute, this course that I created for $97, I don't have a big mailing list. Who's going to buy it? And this group program that I created, I have 3 people and I'm charging $250 a month for this. This is not replacing my benefits. It's not replacing my income. And it wasn't until I started to really look at, all right, I'm going to serve people one-on-one and I'm going to be really good at teaching them sales. And so I could teach them something that I had done for many, many years. And it was extremely effective for them. They were able to have sales conversations and close those sales conversations much faster because they hired me. And so I got my confidence up quickly, and then I was able to charge more and then move into offering new and other programs But the I think the key was I stayed in my wheelhouse. I stayed very focused. I I knew what I needed to do for my marketing, and I really just didn't stray
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't spare time at that point when I was struggling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think some people have more supportive partners, family when they're making the transition, and
Mhm.
so that's also something to factor in is what kind of support do you have, or are you doing it all on your own? And so I think all of those things are factors and play into maybe your fear, doubt, and worry when you're trying to make these decisions. You know.
Yes. Well, at the time, my husband was still working, and I held carried the health insurance benefits, and we had one child in private school and one child going into college. So for me to leave a six-figure job with benefits, it was, this is not such a smart idea. So even though he loved me and supported me, he's like, are you really sure this is a smart thing to do? So I had no choice but to get caught up and do this quickly. And now we are actually both entrepreneurs. So we both work from home together, although his business is completely different. He's not always here at the same time, but he saw me do it, and then it gave him the courage to do it. And he was profitable very, very quickly because he learned so many lessons from watching me. So it was
Right.
great.
Right. That's great. And you're also showing an example to your children too of what's
Hmm.
possible,
Yeah, we are.
and having the faith in yourself. So that's great. That's great. And then you still got your certified coaching in the nutrition and the wellness. And I'm sure that some of that training actually is probably you pull it in and you don't even realize it to your speaking coaching,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The part that I brought in a lot was I went to the institute. Well, I went to actually now I can't even remember so which one was first, but I went to one, the Life Purpose Institute, and then the Institute for Integrative Nutrition was first. And the Life Purpose Institute, I got a certification in coaching as a life coach and a life purpose coach. And that is what I use all the time. It's,
I would think so too. Even like with the people that are coming to you, the healers and folks like that who are really living their purpose as healers, that you can tap back into
Mhm.
some of that training and then help them create their signature talks and
Absolutely.
their events and what they're trying to deliver. So,
Yes.
wow, that's really interesting. So, the finale question that I always ask everybody is what's the bravest thing that you've ever done and how does it inspire you today?
So it definitely was when I left my job, when the kids were both in college, or my daughter was in high school and my son was in college. And as I said, even though my husband did support me and love me, I was really it was the first time I'd ever gone without a safety net, and I'm not good at that. So, and what I really learned from that is that even though it's been over 5 years, I realized I don't think I could ever fit in the corporate mold any longer. I will always have some kind of business, and I know I could start over again without any doubt if anything ever happened to my existing business. So I probably should have done it earlier.
Wow. But you did it. You did it. And you're there now and you're not working a million hours a week and
Mhm.
facing your death like
Mhm.
because you're working until 1 o'clock in the morning and not really being there, not only for your family, but for yourself,
Yes.
right? And so you're bringing your gifts, you're sharing your gifts with your clients, and then, like you said, it's creating that ripple effect out into the world in other ways, some of which you can see, some of which you can't. I know the healing community and those types of professions, they need people like you that have the business background and the sales background and the process and the systems orientation to kind of help them monetize what they're trying to do
Yes,
and take
absolutely. Yeah.
to get out of the one-to-one model where they're making such a low amount per client visit, right?
That's
So, I mean, I think that's great. And I think it's great that you look at things as what stage are you in and how can you just get your clients, do simple marketing in the beginning, and then figure out the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. I think some people have bright, shiny object syndrome and they get overwhelmed too.
they do.
Right? Especially with the internet and all these emails and online marketing people and things that come flying at you through your email box, and you're just like, you're drowning and you're
Yeah.
getting a million of them. And then, where do you even start? And you got to finish stuff like you were saying.
Yeah, well, it's enticing and it's attractive, and when we read everybody else's really awesome copy, it's like, oh wow, now I should jump on over there. But it's important to put blinders on, and in that first stage, a lot of people make the assumption it's not going to take me that long, or it's going to take me a long time. No, it actually doesn't have to take that long. Deliver a couple of signature talks over the course of 2 months, you'll get all the clients you need. So that's exactly what happened to me. So I know it can happen, and it happens to my clients all the time. So
that's great. Well, we will put all of your website information, all your contact information, any kind of links over to any kind of free resources that you have, so people can get on your mailing list and they can get in contact with you if they are interested in either your mastermind programs, your webinars, your live events, your one-on-one coaching, any of that. They can kind of go to your website and see what you have to offer. I know you're always adding new things, and they can follow you on all your social media channels too. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to kind of just tell your story, and hopefully we've inspired some folks on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Tracy. I really appreciate it. And this is such a wonderful thing to be able to inspire others to be brave. So thank you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy Imm as much as I did creating it. Each show is produced with you, the listener, in mind, as you look for inspiration and motivation from other brave souls as you pursue your desires. I'd love to hear your feedback, so please leave me a review on iTunes. I read every one. And check out my website, tracyimm.com, for more free resources. You can also join my list and sign up for my newsletter right from the homepage. Until next time, stay strong, believe in your dreams, and go do something brave.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy Imm, and hope that you enjoyed the show. For more information about today's episode, as well as additional free resources to help you achieve greatness in your life, visit tracyimm.com and sign up for our mailing list. Until next time, dream big, believe in yourself, and let your brilliance shine as only you can do.